Hello and welcome to the Smart Chiropractor Show. In our featured guest segment, I'm Dr. Jeff Langmaid here with my co-host, Dr. Jason Deitch. And today we have an opportunity to sit down and reconnect with a friend of ours, Dr. Joe Ferrantelli, co-founder and CEO of Posture Screen and Posture Ray. Joe, thanks for coming on and chatting with us today.
Hey, thanks for the invite. I'm looking forward to it.
It is our pleasure. I want to kick it off. You are somebody that I have known in the posture space for quite a while. I want to trace it back and learn a little bit about what got you so interested in posture early on that you focused your career, whether it's software, clinical skills, etc., on posture and its importance. Let's trace it back. How'd you get so interested in posture?
So it was, I found my way. I was a musician and decided I was getting ready to go that route, and then decided at the last minute to go into chiropractic. And in my junior year in college, and I'd always been interested. I was always into sports. I'm in my gym clothes now, so I just came from the gym. Sorry about that. And when I got to chiropractic school, I went to Life University in Atlanta, and I loved everything about it. And chiropractic had been part of my lifestyle ever since I was a kid. My dad said, "You got to go to the chiropractor to help you in sports." "Dad, I'm not in pain." He goes, "It's not about pain. You got to come in, have doc check you out." And so when I was going to chiro school, my chiropractor at the time said, "Hey, you got to check out this CBP technique." And I got to school and I went there, and unfortunately, I was a little disenchanted with chiropractic at not it working. I was very scientific, and it just didn't make sense on certain things. And then I went to the seminar with this guy named Don Harrison, who changed my life. And he was working on his PhD at the time in mathematics, and been working on a master's in mechanical engineering. But what I found intriguing was everybody in the club, there wasn't even a class at Life at the time, found the same problems no matter who looked at the person, and we could see objective changes and track objective changes over time. So I was getting, at the time, I almost dropped out of chiropractic school and went to med school. Not that I didn't believe chiropractic worked, but some of the methods I just didn't feel congruent with myself. And he changed my life forever. And so CBP technique is a part of it is posture analysis and basically looking at the body from a starting place of a static position, then moving into movements. So a lot of people forget, they don't understand that we in CBP, I absolutely look at kinematics, but all kinematics start from a single position. And so we were doing early research on the spine models and also posture, and we had software, and I was always a techie. And so after I got in and Dr. Don took me under his wing, and I was starting to learn how to teach, he wanted me to teach for some reason, not sure. He just said that I had an knack for teaching. And we had some research-based software at the time that his son, Deed Harrison, and myself were like, "Hey, you know what? These things would be great commercial products for doctors, because it's taken me too long as a clinician." Fast forward after I graduated, I was like, our x-ray product, I was taking pictures of everything. And then had this posture software that would take 10, 15 minutes to do. And it didn't matter if it was published in the best journals in the world, nobody would use it because it wasn't user-friendly. So that became my passion, to find something user-friendly, to take the clinical world and meld it with the research world, to give somebody a valid, reliable, and objective product to use in practice and research. So that's a long story. I could actually give in details, but it'd be an hour and a half.
We'll do another segment on our long format and hopefully capture all that as well, Joe. I love what you're saying. I want to go a little bit farther into it. You're talking about solving something on the research side, solving something on the clinical side, but I always approach things from the consumer side of things. And really, you've hit, I'll say whatever you want to call it, a triple or a win-win-win, because what you talk about when you're using the software on a research basis, on a clinical basis, you're helping our research base grow. You're helping doctors do what they do faster and easier so that they can be more clinically certain. But you're also, the bonus, or in my opinion, the most important part, and I know that that's up for controversy, is that people actually get to see something. And when they see it, they're much more invested in it. Can you extrapolate more about how sort of the extra benefit now is people go, wait, that's me. I got to do something about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Back in the day, I was wasting so much time taking photographs and that was before we even had iPhones, so the pictures weren't even that great. But I was trying to take photographs of the people. I was literally, Jason, I was taking pictures of my X-ray on the X-ray view box, taking that, putting it into a Word document, putting measurements in there, pre-writing basics of what spine health is and relating it to the organic problems that they may have had as well too. And it was taking me 25 minutes but I realized when I would complain to Deed's father about this, because he was he was like my coach and mentor at the time too. He was like, you got to do this because the ultimate part of this is patients are going to follow your care if they don't understand it, and they truly have to be committed. So these reports that you don't want to do for them for marketing is crucial. And the reason why you have to show them their posture is because they don't get X-ray. We get the X-ray, we understand, but we've all been there. You guys have been there. You show sometimes people, even in healthcare, they're a lateral cervical and they think it's their low back, right? So they need to understand the outside and the inside. And just like an orthodontist, I think the biggest thing was seeing what orthodontists did to convey why a person needed to buy in to understand the importance of braces and health with the teeth. We did the same thing with chiropractic. We tried to do our best. And, that's what I grew a company doing, basically with X-ray and posture and then movement assessments as well too.
Yeah, Joe, there is a lot of avenues that I want to go down, and that's the entrepreneurial nature, the software development of what you've done. But I want to stick on the posture topic for one more question. And Sure. There are docs out there that take posture super seriously. As you know, there are docs out there that generally overlook posture and go straight to movement-based assessments. And I would love just to have your insight for those docs out there that maybe haven't looked at posture as serious as perhaps they should. When you're looking at that balance between dynamic movement and static posture, as a clinician and as somebody that's really spent so much time in that space, how would you recommend everybody listening and watching thinks about the balance between those two things?
Right. Great question. So all movement has to start from a static position, no matter where you are. It's not up for opinion. It's not, something that anybody made up. And so if you're starting from, and this is not talking about the neurophysiology of normal alignment, how that impacts, we got lots of randomized clinical control trials on that, but you guys can interview Dr. Deed Harrison on that aspect of it. Everything starts from that static position. So if you don't fix somebody, for instance, let's do something that I'm sure all of your people can relate to. If you're more of a FMS type of person or whatnot, if somebody has a shoulder problem, right? And they're like, oh, shoulder mobility. I did a lot of CrossFit over the years, right? They're like, oh, you got to work on your mobility. Well, is it a shoulder issue? Like I couldn't do squats overhead. It was really hard for me. I came from powerlifting. It wasn't a strength issue, but they're like, oh, you just need more mobility. I'm like, no, you don't get it, coach. My arm is hyperextended to get it over my head because I have a hyperthoracic kyphosis and forward head posture because of my hyperthoracic, because I have compression fractures, because I was competing early on with too much weight. And I don't want to go into it, but I hurt myself pretty good. So this overhead straight up for me is hyperextension because I'm already around it. So if we don't work on trying to remove some of that hyperkyphosis, I can never improve the mobility of my shoulder. If you don't now there's lots of clinical studies that show forward head posture is intimately tied into shoulder kinematics, jaw kinematics, not to mention all the health and deleterious effects on the spine. But just using that one, that static position, you will adapt to, and all motion will be starting from that. So if you don't have that good starting position, you'll never have full range of motion in your shoulder. And hence, go ahead and ask, what do you think happened to my shoulder? I have a torn shoulder and a torn pec. Probably not from a lack of range of motion there, but probably pushing beyond my limits to achieve a goal that was outside my limits because of the limitation of matter of my spine at the time. And that was before chiropractic per se. But I just wanted to let you know that looking back hindsight, statics dictate dynamics. just like it does on the door in my room, to the door on your car, to the wheels on your car. Once you get that, that's why if you go like to the Ideal Health Spine Health Center, we have all these functional things there for you because we work on that too. We just focus mostly on structure at first, then move to the kinematics instead of jumping to kinematics. That's the only difference. So hopefully that explained a little bit.
Absolutely. It's all relative. Where you go depends on where you start from, and it all matters. Joe, I'd love for you to break down in a little bit more detail. You've created multiple products for chiropractors to use clinically and to use, in my opinion, more as a marketing tool. Most chiropractors are always struggling to get more new patients, and your tools do both of those things. They help the doctor, both in terms of being a better clinician, better doctor, better communicator, but also helps the doctor attract people into their practices. Can you take a few minutes and sort of break down, what problem your technologies that you've built are solving, and share what technologies you offer to solve those problems?
Yeah, so we have two main products that we offer. One is what we're most known for, which is the Posture Screen app, which started off exactly what you're talking about. It was a way originally to market CBP technique to get doctors interested. And then it took a life of its own, getting featured in Men's Health, GQ magazine, and featured on the App Store. And then it grew into being a research staple for universities in all outside of chiropractic and physical therapy in places like UCLA. It's used in the exercise lab at UCLA, and they've studied it a lot. Things I had never even thought about. They're using it as an outcome tool, but it started as a marketing tool because patients need to see their posture. Patients need to see their movements. I can show you did you want me to kind of switch the screen there?
Let's see what you got, man. Absolutely.
If I can learn how to do this, see a tech guy, see if he can learn how to share the screen. There usually is a share screen, and let's see if I can share this screen. And let's see, share. So you guys see this screen right here, right?
Good.
So one of the things that we did, I just pre-recorded a video for the posture side so you could see. One of the things that we're able to do is quickly do an assessment using computer vision now, believe it or not, something that used to take multiple cameras. If you notice, might be hard to see, but the computer is literally tracking him in real time using what's called machine learning and computer vision. And we just completed an objective, reliable posture assessment that is done literally that fast. Now, of course, obviously, we wouldn't want them all dressed up. We want them in more revealing clothing. But what's nice about that is that at that point in time, we can save time by prescribing corrective exercises straight from their posture or their movement assessment, so we're streamlining it and giving them a clinical tool to document pre and post. But then what we're able to do is we're able to move it forward and get the patient to understand what their problems are. So that's it. I'm not going to go into this next part. I'll go ahead and stop that so I don't bore you guys on, the other features. But what's nice about that is if I can convey, let me see if I have the actual app itself here, and I'll bring that over. So if I was going to convey to somebody, I wanted to show them before and after in their care for not only marketing, but to show them their progress in our care. I'm going to see if I can actually generate a report here. I'm using a Mac here, so I'm going to make sure I can open this up. Let me go ahead and save it's a little different on a Mac when you're running the apps that are really made for iPad. Let me go ahead and open this up in my documents here. So we generate PDFs that they can put into their EHR. And I got too many screens around me. Here we go. So we could identify pre and post, and I could educate the person on, disregard this point. I was teaching a physical therapist on what's called craniovertebral angle. So I moved this point to make a point with the physical therapist that I was training. But you could see reliably pre and post with the person. Of course, that dot would be at their external auditory meatus. But we can show the person exactly how much change that they've had, right? Hold on, Adobe is trying to get me to sign in. I don't want to sign in. So from that standpoint, we have the ability to track movement assessments as well too. So if I wanted to be able to show pre and post of a squat, I can do the same thing and tie into objectively underactive and overactive muscles. I worked hand in hand with Dr. Dave Cruz on developing this and linking it to a platform called Web Exercises. And we were able to do this to streamline it so the patient could see side-by-side videos, how they move before, how they move after, but the clinician could actually objectively document that their care changed and improved that person's objective measurable outcomes, right? And so that's more of on the posture side of things. And on the x-ray side of things, it's the same thing. We're all about the normal starting position and trying to rehab a person's static posture and spine to a normal structure so they could move efficiently. And one of the pain points we had early on was digitizing x-rays, right? So we would have to go through and click all the points. And so recently what we've done is been able to do things like this, where we've trained a computer on being able to identify over, say 30,000 x-rays that were marked, being able to mark an x-ray, and literally in the time that you saw there, we could literally get all the rotations and translations of their subluxations in real time compared to our spinal model that we published in multiple journals, which is reliable and valid. And then what we could do is for the patients, because Jason, you're all about the patients, we could then come in and show the patients. If I came in, I could show the patients reports, or I could come in and show them, if I was doing a report of findings, I could show them their posture pre and post, but then jump right into their x-rays and show them normal versus them, whatever x-ray view it was. And if it was instability for, a motor vehicle crash, everything is digitized, but it becomes a teaching platform and a documentation platform is basically what this whole system, allows. And that's basically what I tried to do, is to bridge that clinical side of things and research and bring it so we could get back to educating the person on the importance of following through a program of care to get their spine and posture to back as near normal as possible so they could move the way they should and function as best they could in all movements.
Joe, I love the technology and bridging, as you well described, bridging the clinical aspects, bridging the demonstrative proof of challenges that the individuals are having, and then being able to showcase their progress along their road to relief, to recovery, and to higher performance. I absolutely love it. And I know we just didn't even scratch the surface, but for the docs out there listening and watching, you piqued my interest. I'm sure that you piqued the curiosity of a lot of people listening and watching. Where should docs go to learn more, to connect with you, and really to discover how they can implement these tools in their practice?
Sure, thanks. They can go to postureanalysis.com, and the link would be down in the description, I'd imagine, of this. And they could reach out to me directly if they want to. Joe, Joe, at postureray.com or Joe at posturescreen.com. They all go to the same email address. I got 35 different emails. I got ones for my drummer friends that would go into the same ones too. That way you can also hit me up on Facebook or Instagram, although I'm kind of overwhelmed, probably like you guys are, with how many people reach out to me. So don't get mad if I don't respond right away on social media. I try to get back, as quickly as I can, but you can reach out to me at Posture Analysis on Instagram, Twitter, or on Facebook. It's just under my name, Joe Ferrantelli.
I love it. We will be sure to drop those links down below. Docs listening and watching, please click, connect, get a better understanding of how these tools can really assist you in your practice. Joe, I know I'll speak for Jason and our entire team. We love connecting with docs out there that are taking action. You are clearly one of those guys to develop your own software, to have multiple different products out there to help docs better communicate who they are and what they do is something that should be acknowledged. And I want to say on behalf of our entire team, thank you. Thank you for coming on and sharing, and we'll look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for watching this video on the Smart Chiropractor. To not miss a single thing that's clinically oriented, marketing oriented, or more, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel today.